Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the country, in the world. Whether you're watching this live or in replay, it's much better live. You can join in and I get to say hi to you and things like that. We have some interesting city names that I'm not even sure where this is in Brazil. Fabiano, correct? Hi there. Bom dia. Good to hear from you in Blumenau, Brazil. Fantastic. And Aya Bonga says hi and says, I'm Aya Bonga Redebe. Yes, excellent. Francis, once again, from sunny Wilton. I understand it's beautiful there today. It's horribly overcast here, and we're about to have a very big thunderstorm and possibly tornadoes this evening, so that gets exciting. And we've also got some people from South Africa, lots of developers in South Africa for Rad Studio in Delphi, so happy time. Blumenau is in southern Brazil. Oh, wonderful. And Fabiano is in Santa Catarina. Wonderful. Excellent stuff. We've got a pretty yesterday was absolutely packed. I think we had 6 hours of content yesterday, and we may show I think one of those again today, because today we've got a slightly abbreviated amount of content. If I just pull up my little overlay and I will show you what we've got. Let me just get rid of that QR code. Just so that you can see it a bit better. So today, coming up shortly, we have understanding AI neurons and activation functions with C++ Builder. This is by Yilmaz Yoru, sorry. He is he's got a PhD in this stuff, and wow, when he talks about the subjects, I have to say sometimes I don't understand the questions people ask, and I don't understand the answers they give either about this topic, because he's one of those guys that he's been doing AI since the 90s, long before OpenAI got a big chunk of money from investment capitalists and people like that, and long before we'd even thought that it would be possible. He was creating artificial neural networks and stuff like that. If you want to know the real skinny behind the scenes about what kind of things are possible or were possible all along, excuse me, with ANN and activation functions and stuff like that, this is the session to watch. You had another one on Monday, which was also equally in depth. It's very technical. He's a very smart guy, like I said before, but it's kind of some bits are a bit beyond me. So if you're wanting to see something in depth, here it is. After that, at 11 a.m. my time, which is 4 p.m. UTC time, we have AI Beyond the Code. Maximize your productivity. This is with Dion Mai, excellent speaker, and he's going to show some tips and tricks about how AI can help you actually write code. And not just write code, but check code and look for the quality assurance in it and all the rest of it. And then at 12 p.m. my time, so noon, which is 5 p.m. UTC, we are going to have a guest from Softicom, one of our tech partners. I think the session is by Elena Butsanava. They do use an AI voice in it because they're a bit conscious of their accent. Like some of our presenters, they worry about how they sound. AI voice, well, for an AI code camp, I don't think it's a problem. I think it's actually entirely appropriate. But they're going to talk about ONX runtime. If you don't know what that is, join that session, because it is actually very, very interesting technology. And her session goes into a lot of detail. I believe they can have one of their people join us live. It won't be Elena joining live. She said it was one of her colleagues, but there'll be a live conversation from her from her colleague as well. And like I say, we probably will have time to fit in a replay of one of the sessions from yesterday, because we've got a couple of fairly short presentations. I think Yilmaz's one is 20 minutes long, so we'll have some extra time. Dion will be here live for the conversation, and then the Softicom one is only 30 minutes as well. So not a lot of content today, but it's all interesting stuff. And then we're back again tomorrow, diving into the subject once more. Let me turn off my overlay so you can see my beautiful face, so to speak. And do you know, I've been so busy, I've not even had time to trim my beard. So maybe we should get an AI avatar of me. I'd be much better looking and could smooth out all the wrinkles and make me look much younger. Dave Nottage did send this version of me, which I thought was hilarious. And look, if you look at the screen there, you see this helmet, this bear here. This is my childhood teddy bear. That's why I keep it. This is what they call a mood board behind me. It's just to remind, and that skull is actually got Wilson written across it. If you've ever seen Castaway, then you'd understand why. Sheldon Cooper, and obviously the Union Jack, because as you can tell from my accent, despite the fact I'm an American, I am an American citizen, obviously originally British. But you just take a good hard look at that scene behind you, and this was the AI version. And I'm absolutely blown away with what AI can do. This is quite incredible. And it was all triggered really by David I. This was his original photo, and then he passed it through Copilot, and up came this version. Is that fantastic? Bless him. He just looks so great. It really is hilarious. And actually, when I went to the Delphi Summit, I actually dressed up as David AI. So I don't know. I mean, the hair's not right because I've got no hair and I didn't want to make it too thin. But I think that's a pretty good representation. But that is outstanding, and this even better. I mean, look at that. Look at the background. It's very accurate. It's mind blowing, isn't it? And this is all. It's got my ukulele there, which is correct. And all the other things as well. I don't know where it got that little Delphi symbol in the background there, but even so, it's pretty good. And my boron, which is an Irish drum in the background, and my plant and everything. And he changed the wording on the card because the little joke is that people never say my name right. But wow, I mean, what you can do with AI is absolutely mind-bending. So there you go. So we'll start off today with the first session, which is from Yilmaz Yoru, and this session is understanding AI neurons and activation functions with C++ Builder. Like I say, it's only 21 minutes long, so we might do some filler content afterwards, repeat something from yesterday. But until then, join us in the chat and say hi. And salut, Einstein, ça va? Hello from Nantes in France. We discovered yesterday that I can speak French, not very well. I don't speak it often enough to have a good accent, but I can speak some French, so there you go. Okay, let's start with Yilmaz then.
Hello and welcome to the AI Codecamp session again. Today I'm going to talk about understanding AI neurons and activation functions with C++ Builder. This is Yilmaz Yoru. I'm a mechanical engineer, C++ developer, also Embarcadero MVP. And I have a company and doing projects mostly about software and AI applications. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about how AI works and what is activation function, why it is necessary, and what kind of activation function types that we can use in programming with the C++ examples. Actually, these examples are in general C++ examples, so it is not based on the C++ builder, so you can use in other C++ compilers. I'm a mechanical engineer. I have a company, Essential Company. We are developing engineering applications, 3D designs, programming, and we are also developing AI applications and also developing an artificial general intelligence application. Actually, my programming history began before the mechanical engineering. Since in 1988, when I was in secondary school, I think I started to write code. I have more than 500 blog posts at Learn C++ or Embarcadero.com blogs, and we are developing many different projects. One of the biggest projects is Abriana project, artificial general intelligence project. also teaching innovations to kids, students, and young people sometimes. And these are some of our software projects that we develop in C++ Builder. Now let's start with some introduction. AI refers to the simulation of human intelligence in machines that are programmed to think like humans and mimic their actions. The term may also apply to any machine that exhibits traits associated with a human mind, such as learning and problem solving. And in general, there are two kind of fields in artificial intelligence: machine learning and deep learning. Machine learning uses algorithms to learn from data, finds patterns in data, and make predictions about future events or outcomes. In the deep learning, it is a neural network with layers and filters, attempts to simulate the behavior of human brain, allowing it to learn from large amounts of data. So in machine learning, there are less layers, less data. In deep learning, there are more layers and filters and operations and more data. ANN, unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and reinforcement learning are machine learning examples that we can say. And some of the deep learning examples are natural language programming, convolutional neural network, recurrent neural network, generative adversarial neural network, deep reinforcement learning, generative pre-training, which is much more popular nowadays. This is the schematic of AI in general. At the center you can see artificial general intelligence, which is the core of the AI that we call, and there are other machine learning and deep learning AI technologies. Now let's look at how AI works. In the mid-18th century, Luigi Galvani did seminal experiments on how electricity signals activated muscles in the body, and he used the frog legs here, making the legs of the dead frog twitch after zapping them with electrodes, and was among the first scientists to discover bioelectricity. And then scientists researched the action potential in biological neurons. So there is a threshold to give when there is a signal, there is a threshold, and then there is an action potential coming and resting state. Artificial intelligence is based on artificial neuron theory, and there is an artificial neuron model, very basic, and it has many inputs from coming, and each input has weights which has on their links, and we sum all of these inputs to the artificial neuron, and then at the end we use artificial function to define output. If it is necessary, we give output. If not, we don't give output, something like this. So a minimum artificial neuron has activation value, activation function, and weights, input net link. So it has one activation value, one activation function, and one or more weights, depends on the number of input nets. The activation function, also called as a transfer function or threshold function sometimes, that determines the activation value from a given value from the net input function. Here the net input function is the sum of the signals in their weights, and activation function is a new value of this sum with the given function or conditions. In other words, the activation function is a way to transfer the sum of all weighted signals to a new activation value of the signal. There are different types of activation functions. So now we can connect each of these artificial neurons to other neurons together. Then we can obtain artificial neural network. This is a very simple artificial neural network example that has 4 inputs, 1 output, and there is a 1 hidden layer. At the end, you can compare your results with other results by using mean square error or root mean square error formulas, or also you can use normalized mean square error functions. When you are training this network, this time we use backpropagation algorithms, which is coming from output to the input, and we use derivative of these activation functions. So it is very important to how and which activation function you use when you need a derivative function, because this depends on your speed of computation, or it may depend on your results or training stability. So it is very important to decide your activation functions when you have an artificial neural network problem. This is a very simple artificial neural network example with two neuron inputs, one neuron output, and each neuron connected to the output neuron with the link, and link has a weight, which means which input is much more important, which input is less important. We define this by weights, and then we multiply these weights with the input values. For example, we multiply input value 0 with the weight 0 and input value 1 with the weight 1, and then we sum all of these values together, which is called as net input value. Then this sum needs to be used in an activation function. So we need an activation function here to define if we gonna give output, what kind of output we will give from this sum of results. Okay. As a result, as you see, AI works with neurons, inputs and outputs, and there are weights that we multiply with input neurons values, and we have an output, and so we have many neurons, inputs and outputs, and so we have many multiplication together. So if someone asks you what is AI, if he is not from the engineering or AI field, I find a very simple definition here. AI is a kind of multiplication table. So there is a multiplication table for a cat, there's a multiplication table for a dog, something like that. We can explain this very easily. AI is a set of computational techniques actually that allows you to solve various problems. In today's AI technology, we have machine learning and deep learning technologies, and we are using activation functions a lot. So it is very important to decide your activation function very well and very fast in algorithms. This affects your computational speed and affects your results and affects the performance of your AI application. Now let's look at some of these activation functions in artificial intelligence. First, identity function. An identity function, also called an identity relation or identity map, or sometimes it's called as identity transformation function. It's a function in mathematics that always returns the same value that was used as its argument. That means your net input value has no effect to activation function, directly returns the same value. It is a y equal to x function, or f(x) is equal to x function. This function can be also used as an activation function in some AI applications. So here is a very simple function example here, but if you define to use identity function, you don't need to use it, just use directly in your net input function. So this is a very simple activation function example actually, and it returns a floating number and gets floating number. So values generally between 1 and 0, or -1 to +1. And also this function is very important when you are training, because when you are training you need derivative of these activation functions. So it is very important to do better computation and faster computation when you are training your artificial intelligence. And the next function is binary step function. Binary step function, or Heaviside step function, or it's also called as unit step function, is a step function named after Oliver Heaviside, the value of which is 0 for negative arguments and 1 for positive arguments. That means it results 0 or 1 as a boolean. This function is an example of the general class of step functions, all of which can be represented as linear combinations of translations of this one. So it's a bool function. It has a floating input, sum of net input value, and then as a result we give 1 or 0. It depends on this summary. And here is a simple example of this in C++. Now third one is logistic function. Logistic function or logistic curve is the most common S-shaped curve. Also we are using mostly sigmoid function in this category with the equation as below. And here is a very simple example of logistic function here. And one of the most popular logistic function is sigmoid function. So it is a standard logistic function where L and K is 1 and the x0 is 0. So we can write the sigmoid function as below, or we can use hyperbolic tangent as below in C++ examples. Fourth one is a hyperbolic tangent function. It's a trigonometric function that we use hyperbolic tangent as below. So here is the example of activation function here. So we can say it is maybe much more smoother than the logistic function. Fifth one is exponential linear unit function. It is an activation function developed by authors and that speeds up learning in deep neural networks and leads to higher classification accuracy. So when the net input value sum is lower than the 0, so it has less effect as an output here, and when it is over the 0 value, then it has much more effect, as you see in this graph. And here is a simple C++ example as below. Sixth one is scaled exponential linear unit, SELU. It's another activation function released with the self-normalizing neural networks paper in 2017. They introduced self-normalizing neural networks to enable high-level abstract representations here. It's a kind of scaled version of ELU activation function, we can say. So just multiply ELU value with the lambda, that means SELU. So it gives you scalability in your activation function. Here is the formula and graph of the SELU function, and a very simple C++ example of the activation function. And the other one is rectified linear unit function. It's a ReLU activation function defined as the positive part of its argument. Can be written as fx is equal to max 0 and x, where x is sum of weighted input signals, which means it's a net input value in an artificial neuron. And ReLU function, also known as a ramp function in engineering. And also there is a parametric ReLU function with the beta. And here is a very simple C++ example below for the ReLU function. And the other one is Gaussian error linear unit function. It's an alternative to ReLU and ELU functions defined and published in 2016. It is used to smooth ReLU and ELU activations. So GELU function can be written as below here, as you see in formulations. And if you look at the graphics, as you see, when the x value is lower than the 0, it is very less effective, and if it is much more below the 0, then it has no effect here. And if it is positive, then it has much more effect as an output. So here is a very simple C++ example below here. And the other one is soft plus activation function. It is developed in 2001 and it is the replace of sigmoid of a sum by a product of soft plus or sigmoid functions over each of the dimensions. And here is an example to the soft plus function in C++ as below here. So there is an exponential function and logarithmic function used as a return. And the other one is self-regularized non-monotonic activation function. It is also called as MISH function. And in this function, it is very smooth and continuous and self-regularized, and it is also non-monotonic activation function. This function is published in 2019, so it's a very new developed function. As you see, it is very effective in calculations and training, and derivatives of MISH and SWISH functions also compared here in the first and second order. And MISH activation function can be defined by using soft plus, as we explained before. So it's a hyperbolic tangent value of the soft plus function. So we can write MISH activation function as below here. So it has ln function, exponential function, and tangent hyperbolic functions as a return. And that means it is a little heavy in computation, but might be very useful in some of your applications. And another function is softmax function. Actually, it is not an activation function, I think, but I want to explain because it is very useful and it's very used in deep learning and GPT applications. So softmax function is used to soft outputs between the 0 and 1. It can be used as an activation function too. The softmax function is often used in final layer of the neural network based classifier. These kinds of networks are generally trained under log loss or cross entropy methods that are a non-linear variant of multinomial logistic regressions. So you are using ANN or other neural computations, and then you do some filters, and at the end you are using softmax to normalize all these results between the 0 and 1. So for a X vector or array which has n members in a softmax, for each member can be written as below. This function may overflow due to infinity results. To avoid this, you can modulate x value by subtracting a maximum value m. So this can be used as here. And here is an example to the softmax function in C++. This is explained in learncplus.org well with the full example. So you can use it in free and easily. And of course there are other activation functions in artificial intelligence, and you can create your own activation function, of course, but be sure that your activation function has a derivative function for training your network, and also avoid to use much more computations, and avoid to use if clauses as much as possible, and then your activation function may operate in high speed in millions of neurons of your application. You can check all of these examples and full of C++ examples in learncplus.org, and also you can check other activation functions in Wikipedia. Thank you very much for listening me, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. At the end of I use this wallpaper, which is a screenshot of Abriana zoomed in the neural network activation. I hope you enjoy, and thank you again.
I think I made myself come on screen, just, appear on screen just a little bit too quickly there. The good news is Yilmaz is here in the studio to join me live. Hello, Yilmaz. How are you?
Hello, Ian. How are you? Nice
I'm
to
good.
see you.
Yeah, we don't often see each other. We've known each other for years. You used to write, and you still do write a lot of C++ articles, and I've edited. I don't know. You've written thousands, so I don't know how many I've edited, but it's a
Yeah,
lot.
I know. Especially on Sundays, I was working.
Yeah, same as me. We did a lot, and I've just for those that want to know where it is, that's if they scan that code, it will go straight to it as well. And I'm going to put your site up. I'm really glad that you joined us. Funny thing is, although I joke around about, I don't understand the questions that people ask, and then when you give an answer, I don't understand the answer. That video actually made sense to me. I actually understood it for the first time. I'm like, oh, I get it now, with the curves and all the rest of it. And on your, because you've been doing AI since the 90s, is that right? It's a long time you've been doing,
Before the 20, yeah.
yeah. So it's a long time, and I mean, really, the funny thing is that now everybody is coming along and saying, "Oh, they understand AI." There's lots and lots of AI experts and stuff like that. But you are a guy who's been doing it for a long time, and I really respect you for it. And I remember, when you used to produce, because I see people are scanning the code, but when you used to write these articles for Learn C++, there is a lot of AI stuff there, a lot of things about ANN, neural networks, and things like that. So if people want to learn the math behind what goes on and actually understand genuinely how neural networks work and what the real differences are between general artificial intelligence
Yeah.
and very specific artificial intelligence. In fact, how would you describe that, the difference between general artificial intelligence and what we're seeing at the moment, that people are claiming is artificial intelligence?
Actually, we are about get close to the artificial general intelligence. ChatGPT is really have nice course today, and other GPT AI technologies. But let me explain something with an example. As you know, we born as a baby. We have nothing in our brain, and but our brain is growing up in 9 months. Maybe I don't know. This is a health maybe area. I don't know, but medical area. Uh, he's sensing something and then getting growing slower. Maybe it is getting some information from output, and then at the end it is in environment. Now it is getting inputs from the environment, from his mom, dad, etc.
And it
And then
senses, touch and smell and
touching, sensing, hearing. So neurons are changing their ways, their weight values, maybe their activation parameters are changing. So it is learning, by itself without doing anything. So at the end, you have a very teenage son or daughter, So it's able to do everything, running, talking, discussing. Sometimes it's making compliments or creative things. It's creating new songs or pictures, arts, any other things. So this is the what we have as a human. So in artificial general intelligence, you have a core something like this as a baby brain, you think. So you give just inputs, okay? At the end, you see it is doing same things or better things, faster things. So this is artificial general intelligence, I think, if we achieve this.
Yeah.
So if it is successful, of course, computation is very fast in computers than ours, and so there will be much more higher intelligence things that can be in the artificial general intelligence. So all is about maybe this AI is also signal processing actually.
Mm.
So the one neuron producing a signal, then another neuron decides to receive this signal or not, or the previous neuron decides to send this signal or not. This is a signal processing actually between the
Right.
neurons. So this is why I want to explain. Actually, activation functions are very simple mathematical functions, but I want to give some motivation to developers. Maybe they find something better activation function, or maybe not. Actually, still I like the sigmoid function. It's very useful because both negative and positive sides affecting to the results is same. Um, actually, activation function means something like how much, if it is positive, how much should I record this data? If it is negative, how much negative should I care about it? If it is much more negative, should I care about it, or is it zero? So all you see the graphs on the y-axis is the result. So it is about to arrange these kind of things, and sometimes they use some extra parameters to see changes between those different settings, different setups. So they are scaling or changing their parameters. So all is about to modify the input and output correlation or something like this.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting as well is I noted this down. You said there was a MISH function, and that it
Yeah,
was only published in 2019,
yeah,
which is only 6 years ago. And this is the thing, that this technology, it's, you know, the math has been around for a long time, like 1920. Some of those equations were published, but it's still very much a area where there is still much to discover, and much new stuff is appearing all the time. And OpenAI has only been around for 3 years, I think.
yeah.
And obviously now everybody wants to do it because lots of money is involved in it. But in 2019, that's quite incredible. There is a question from Callum Duffield. I'm not sure whether you know the answer to this, but he says, when considering activation functions for a neural network, what are the main things to consider? For example, are some better at handling exploding or diminishing values? I'm, I'm not sure what the answer would be to that. That's why I'm going to leave it to an expert.
Yeah, actually, activation function is a function between two neurons. We are not talking about many neurons, artificial neural network, or many complex neural structures. So it is between the two neurons, two values. So if you know two values, two input and output, this neuron and this neuron, your neuron structure, I don't know your neuron structure. What is the meaning of this? Maybe you are trying to analyze a picture, maybe trying to analyze your a sentence, or maybe you try to analyze the cogeneration system as I did, you know. So you know the numbers, input and output of these neurons, and you want to give the necessary or importance, how much important if it is positive, how much important if it is negative. Maybe much, when it is much more negative, it should be very dangerous for you, you know. So very negative, much more negative. Maybe you should change your activation. So it is about handling those values between, which is much more needed for you. Um, I think sigmoid function is very successful here for me, but you can use different, you can test different activation functions. So you just change the function name, you know, you can also change you can do in case state. So you can change your activation function, and also you see there are some parameters, parametric activation functions. So you can add those parametric activation functions. So you um, compare results, which one is better for you, which one is not good, or maybe you can compete with each other, other technologies. Um, AI is little bit about tuning values and parameters. So in real, actually, we don't know which parameters are using in Chat GPT. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
because they are testing something, they see something is not good, it is caring much about some dangerous thing, then they are reducing its values or changing some parameters. So it's about it. If you know your problem, if you know your values, so you can decide your activation function.
Yeah. I mean, really what we're talking about here is what is happening in some of these artificial intelligence networks. And let me just block that person who's trying to spam us, silly person. Um, as far as you understand it, and I know you can't answer completely accurately because you don't work for them, but is this kind of thing what is happening behind the scenes on things like ChatGPT and other types of large language model? Are they actually really just doing exactly what you're describing, but on a massive scale? Do you think that's what's happening?
Yes, of course. This is the main idea. Actually, of course, it is much more complex. I give the ChatGPT structure example in the first presentation. They are using different layer operations, again filtering, and again doing some operations, again using softmax, again looping. Maybe they are using some if clauses, maybe some other logics, maybe other AIs, or also checking, I don't know. So it's very complex in general, but
Mhm.
these ANN and artificial activation functions may give you some idea. You know, generally most of programmers today know Python well, so they look at watching videos and look at things. So giving parameters and functions, and then calculate the results. So they don't know what's happening behind this. So this is why I am explaining here very basically, very core things here. Actually, I am working on the field alongside. This is my not primary area, but one of my focused areas here. But there were much more academic stuff were working here. There were many different studies in academic. If you check papers, you can see. So
Mhm.
people were working, but when the ChatGPT was successful and the results was very important, maybe you remember Cortana was very promoting thing when it comes with the
Yeah,
Microsoft Windows.
Cortana, it was not good.
Yeah, and I said, "Whoa, they made it something like this." But when you use, you see results not useful, you know. So
Mm.
you feel not good, then they reduce it. Now it is a chat, but in the chat GPT, it was very different because
Yeah,
results was very good, very promising, and sometimes uh, you blow your mind. You know, when it answers you, you blow your mind. So it's
for
very
sure.
important, I think, in this
Yeah. I
technology.
mean,
Yeah.
for me, I because I think about I like Amazon Alexa. I think it's pretty useful, and Cortana. Yeah, I mean that was a bad idea from day one. But Siri is still good today, but all of those work very differently from ChatGPT. And I think behind the scenes, essentially, they're just a big set of if statements. If the person asks this, then it gets the context from what they're asking, the natural language, but it really is just trying to understand the question in natural language and then make a query out of things it knows. Whereas ChatGPT is much more than that. It is a more, it tokenizes the knowledge, but it's not really like a database. It's a little bit more alive than that. Whereas my opinion, and I don't know because obviously I didn't work for Amazon, but in my opinion, Alexa and Siri were much more just very clever search engines with lots of built-in functionality. ChatGPT, I think, really took Microsoft and Google by surprise. I think Google in particular were very troubled by it because all of a sudden it threatened their business model because the Google searches were very clever. PageRank was the algorithm that was used, invented by Larry Page from Google and patented, I believe. But basically, it was just a very big query. It tokenized all the web pages, it parameterized them, create hash tables, and so they had very, very clear, but it was not artificial intelligence. It was like a database query. And then all of a sudden, ChatGPT came along, changed things completely. So I think, and I saw for people that haven't watched, you almost did a session on Monday where you showed, was it a power station? Am I remembering that correctly? What was you had some functions that was working on something. Was it energy or I remember you saying that you were tuning something for neural networks. It was energy consumption.
Energy and exergetic functions,
Yeah.
Mechanical engineering.
Yeah, and so that's a practical application of what you're talking about. Callum says, and Callum obviously is interested in this stuff. Thanks. I'm inputting arrays of audio data to output classifications for marine animals. Wow, that's interesting. I produced an LSTM network, I don't know what that is, that works fairly well using the ReLU activation. Do you know what that one is? ReLU activation. I shall try sigmoid. So you've got a convert there.
Yeah, of course, I understand. But I mean this. Sigmoid function has a similar effect on the both negative and positive side. So when you give a signal, when you give a data, how you know it is very bad or good?
Right.
Okay, but sigmoid function on the left side and the right side is equal effect on the bad and good side. Okay, so my idea is sigmoid function is good, but of course, if your functions, your activation functions could be very good now, but in my opinion, I think signal result should be different. And we put 3 results in Google video results. There was a Jeep running in the air water flow. And, I'm a mechanical engineer. I also worked on fluid mechanics. I know how hard to calculate those fluid mechanic things on the grid, 2-dimensional grid, and 3-dimensional grid is much more hard. And now you say the words and it is giving you result with the Jeep running in the mood, so results are really amazing.
I mean, fluid dynamics was always a subject that everybody knew was hard, even if they didn't know anything about it. It's just one of those things where you hear people saying, hey, it's more complicated than you think. And like you say, as a mechanical engineer, it's one of the things you have to understand. And so if you're going to calculate what's happening with a boat that's floating along, in where's it going to end up if the rudder breaks or something like that, that's fluid dynamics. But it applies to even weird things like steel mills, processing molten metal and stuff like that. There's lots of other physical systems at play, but literally if you've got liquid of any type, fluid dynamics comes into it. But air is also can be treated like a fluid as well, and it's a weird, it's a whole different science.
When you analyze, you are doing mesh and having a large scale of grid. So there are nodes. Each nodes are connected with each other. So you are calculating pressure and velocity and so on. So it is something similar to the neural network, Also it is a nature actually, not only fluid dynamics. It is also for other mechanical things in materials also, material science also.
I mean, to put it in layman's terms about neural networks, if you think of anything that is a learned skill, so not an innate skill like breathing, which is you don't learn to breathe, you just either can or you're dead. But it's as simple as that. But if there's a learned skill like riding a bike, for a bicycle, or even computer programming, or making something like this from metal, all of those skills require your neurons to have the pathway strengthened, and that's why we practice it. In layman's terms, practicing is really fundamentally strengthening the pathways of those neurons. That's what we believe is how the brain works. I mean, maybe in 100 years, someone will say that's not how it works. But right now, our fundamental understanding of how the brain works is that it's neuron based, and that strengthening the pathways means that you can learn to speak French or learn to speak English as you have, or learn to computer program, and the neural networks are really just an artificial creation or reproduction of that process, and you do a very good job of explaining it. And the math is hard, but it's not that hard. Even I understood today's, and I'm terrible at maths. But it's interesting stuff. What do you think? I mean, to me, as a layperson who doesn't, who isn't in this field, to me, it looks like we are very close to having something very incredible with AI. Like the singularity is the thing they always talk about, where AI gets to the point where it is actually so good that it is just you can't understand it anymore. It can grow beyond itself. What do you think the future is going to be with AI? Speaking as someone who works in that industry and understands it, or maybe just as a human being who's kind of about to have AI change your world. I mean, do you think it's a good thing? Do you feel like there's a future for us that's heading in a good future, or is there something that concerns you?
Yeah, of course, it concerns me too. Also, I also concern when I'm using AI application, because data is very important, and security or correctness of data is very important. Also, it is when you give something data as an input, how it is good, is it good for now, for 10 years? We don't know. So we see very good developments now, but in my presentation, I give you 3 different singularity terms. One was technological singularity, other was gravitational, and the third one was mathematical singularity. And I think we are, singularity term is like mathematical side. I believe that side. On the both negative and positive sides, we have technology is growing up. but we will not reach to the singularity point. But there will be good and bad examples, such as in virus applications and good useful applications. Some people are doing hacker tools, some people are doing health tools. So this is a
Yeah,
positive and negative versions, or we can say same with the airplanes. Some are civilian airplanes, some are fighter
yeah,
jets,
yeah.
something.
So good and evil, and it's a tool that you can use for good, or you can use it for bad. And
Yes, it is like a knife. It's like a tool. It depends on how you use it. If you are a
yeah,
doctor, you can save the life. If you are a killer, you can end their life. So, but on the other side, there's some danger thing is we don't know what's going on behind the AI. For example, there's a new update. What happened in this new update?
right. Yeah, there's no release notes, is there? There's no like, oh, we added these
They
lines of code.
cannot, they cannot
Actually,
really. There are many changes, many parameters we don't understand also. But what
yeah.
changed? Maybe they changed the activation values ReLU to sigmoid.
Well, this is terrifying.
Yeah, we don't know what changed, but what will happen to the next? And maybe it is connecting with other AIs. Maybe they are developing together with another new AI. We don't know. So
Yeah,
this is the this is the concerning part for me. Digital technology has always something background that we don't know.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like the internet. You can say the internet has brought the world together, and it has. It means that I can work from home and you can work from home and things like that. But it also means that we learn that there are people out there whose opinions we do not like, and but people whose opinions we do like. And it's like going to a crowded restaurant or a party, and you meet some people that are okay and some people that aren't. But the internet, is still a good thing overall, I think. So, and I think AI is the same. I always say I'm a optimistic skeptic. I'm
yeah, me too.
optimistic
Me
because you,
too. But I
yeah,
am also concerning. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's good. At least I'm not crazy then. Yeah.
As,
Well,
as a human, we should be always in positive. We should try to do as much as good things for the humanity.
yeah,
There might be negative things happening, so we should reduce this as much as also. So
yeah,
this will go on like this.
yeah. Well, you are a great guy. I mean, you're a good friend. You and I talk quite often about things. You're one of the smartest people I know, Doctor Yilmaz. Yeah, yeah. I always call you Yilmaz, but it's Doctor Yilmaz, just so that people know that
Yes.
you're the
Yes.
real deal as well. And I thank you for that session. You did a great job, and thank you for the session on Monday as well. I think you bring some kind of. I mean, Boyan is another guy who's very smart as well. You two, maybe if we put you both in the room, the gravity would just sink together because those brains would just, together. But
I believe everybody is intelligent. I think, but
yeah,
we
yeah,
focus on different areas. So especially programmers and engineers are much more maybe using these kind of mathematical things. So mm, I believe everyone has.
I know you're being very
Relevant.
modest, but I
Yeah.
know overall you're actually a really smart guy as well. Anyway, it's not a problem. All right, well, thanks a lot. We're out of time, but Yilmaz, thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking part, and we'll see you in another time soon. All right, thanks a lot. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Isn't he great? He is. I'm going to get rid of some captions here and things like that. He's still behind the scenes in the studio, but is done now. Okay, so I really like that stuff. Yilmaz has this way of explaining things. If you go to the Learn C++ site, in fact, I'll put that back up again. There, he has whole sections. He's written thousands and thousands of words on ANN, artificial neural networks. if you follow through, some of the material is quite dense, it's quite hard going, it's academic, some of it. But actually, overall, if you want to know, if you want to really understand what goes on behind the scenes, how artificial neural networks work, that's the place to go. There's good stuff there. While we're at it as well, Yuma also has his own website as well, because as he said on Monday, we put the links up, but he's also got a bunch of stuff there as well, to do with AI in general. Really smart guy, good C++ guy as well, is one of our MVPs, and a few other things as well. Okay, so now we're going to go on to something slightly different, and this is from Dion Mai. He is an MVP from Brazil. Let me just see what. Am I going to put the right subject up? Yes. So this is Dion Mai, AI beyond the code, maximizing your productivity. So it's kind of the other end of the spectrum. Yilmaz was talking about what's behind the scenes and how you get to that point of having AI that does things and neural networks. And Dion's is more from the front end of how to actually use it to as a force of nature for good. So over to Dion Mai.
Hello everyone, welcome to AI Bootcamp of Embarcadero, and in this session we will see AI beyond the code, maximize your productivity. So a little bit about me, who am I? I am Dion, CTO at Ivor Solutions. I am also an Embarcadero MVP, and I graduated control and automation and also a software engineer. So the first step that we can use AI to power up our productivity is when doing synthesis. I will talk more about this along during the session, but keep in mind that you cannot put all your documentation, all your requirements of your software inside AI. Maybe that is not a good practice, but for all the things that are general, maybe even open, I put some samples here, like API specifications. Many APIs are open specifications. We have online documentation about the API that you are about to integrate with your system. Some law texts, so maybe your application are dealing with some legal aspects of the environment, legal aspects of the business logics that you are working with, and of course there's laws you can put inside the LLM to generate some synthesis, and also some general documentation like a integration with a hardware piece of thing that you want to use, maybe integrate with another software that has open documentation. So for all that information, all that requirements that are open, that have anyone can have access, all of that you can use LLM to generate synthesis for you. You can use LLMs to summarize topics for you, and seems very simple, but when we are talking about like a very large API, this will save you a lot of time. Okay, so you can even choose in the synthesis to ask LLM to explain you what are the concepts involved in that integration that you are about to do. Inside the law aspects of your business logics, maybe there are some terms, there are some business jargons that are new to you. So even so, you can ask LLM to generate explanations, generate samples, and all of that help us a lot inside the understanding of what we must build and write inside a software solution. So in our experience, all this documentation are open and we can put inside LLM. Again, we don't think that close and private project requirements will be a very good thing for you to put inside the LLM. You must think about that carefully. We'll talk more about this during the session, but all that things that are open, that are already inside the internet, inside in the open world of the internet, it will be a good thing for you to use AI to synthesize for you, okay? So maybe your project specifications, but all the documentation that are open, you can use AI to generate a synthesis. And other thing that we use a lot is summarize meetings. I know there is a lot of tools, even Google Meetings can do this for you. So you will not need necessarily this tool, but I bring you this tool, the Whisper of OpenAI, because it is free and is very simple to use. And of course, you'll keep all the information local. Okay, so you don't have to put all the recordings of your meeting inside a external API or inside an external tool or inside an external browser plugin. So what we are doing, we use OBS to record the meetings, and after that we pass that audio file through Whisper to generate all the texts from the meetings. So everything is local, none go to cloud, and after that we can use that text generated by the Whisper to keep track for remember things. We all know that we developers usually have to deal with a lot of information, with many different requirements in our software, so it's very easy to keep lose the track on things, okay? So maybe inside a call with 10 requirements, we only give attention to 8 of them, so 2 of the requirements are lost. We didn't see it coming in the meeting, and after that we never see it again, so our software will have some bug or missing requirements. So for that, use Whisper, generate locally all the transcripts for the meeting. Whisper works very well and can work in very simple machines. You don't need to have a very complex machine, a very strong hardware to run it. And after that, you can synthesize all the text of the meeting. You can generate plannings, and of course all of this is local and free. And you can also use some local LLMs to generate project requirements, any other things that will not expose your data to maybe large LLMs or external source of data. You can keep all local, all inside your own computer machine. And of course, if your team does not usually record meetings, maybe it's good to informate and notify the people that are doing the meetings with you that you are recording the things, to keep the track of what you're talking. But in many years of experience, what I have seen in many software solutions, that this common sense of that maybe the good developer will lose some requirements during the meetings, will get bored sometimes, and we all know is sometimes it's a lot of people talking and always the same requirements, so it's easy for us to not get focused on what is talking during the meeting. And this kind of tool maybe will help you, and again also for locally and for free. So to transcribe meetings, this is a good tool we have using a lot and works very well. So I know that many of you, I even put inside the session name, that many of you already use some AI to do analysis when you are developing something or thinking about some software that you want to build. And I will show you another way to do that. Maybe you already do in this way, but what we have seen that works very well for us is use LLM to do the analysis, but with other kind of questions, okay? So the first question that I want to bring to you here is, again, keep all the documentation of your project, all the aspects together, put inside the LLM that you may trust, or classifying what you will put on the LLM and what you will keep out of it. Remember that everything that we put inside the LLM maybe will have sometimes be accessed by the LLM corporation. Maybe for your company is not a problem, and then okay, you put all the information there. But if was a problem, you can or use a local LLM, maybe open source solution that will not send all the information over the internet, or you can just classify what you will put and what you will not. In our experience, that is the best approach, okay? So keep the layers of what can be only used locally and what is the common sense, what all applications may have, and will be fine for you just to put inside the LLM, that your company will not lose anything for that. And the first question for analysis base that we use is explain me all the concepts. Sometimes when we are dealing with some specific business logics, there are some concepts that for us developers are not common, are not daily basis things that we heard, and keep to the ask to the LLM to explain all the involved concepts to you for you. Maybe we'll clarify things, will help you to understand better what your software must really know, really do, and what you really need to learn to deliver a high quality software. So explain all the concepts involved in that documentation that you give the LLM will maybe clarify this kind of thing for you. And other thing that we use and work very well for us is give all the information to LLM, and after that expose all the things that you learned from the data, all the things that you understand that the software must do, and after that ask what I'm missing. What I'm missing in this documentation, what I'm missing in my project specification against all the documentation that I give you before. And many LLMs are able to do that, even the local ones. So even if your project is very large, we have LLMs with a very large context window nowadays, and this question maybe show you something that you didn't understand or didn't know that you didn't understand, maybe something that you really lost the track, you didn't pay attention to that specific requirement, and this question maybe show you that kind of thing, okay? Isn't interesting maybe to do this to many different LLMs. We do this on complex projects to see all different LLMs point of view, because sometimes one LLM will focus more on that kind of requirement, other LLM maybe see the things a little bit different, and of course these different views will also help you to understand if something missing during your understanding of what you must implement, what you must do in the project. And also other question that help us a lot is what can be argued about this. So imagine that you again give the LLM this documentation and you does not know what can be asked about the documentation that you give the LLM, because when you are on a meeting with the customer, with the users, sometimes they maybe ask some questions that you does not know the answer and maybe didn't prepare for that. So asking that question to LLMs maybe show you already earlier what you must be prepared about. So even understand better what you must do or explain to others, because sometimes our job is that explain things to others, try to make a technology more easy for them to understand, And of course, with our vision of technology, maybe sometimes we think that there are things so simple that I must not explain to everyone the knowledge course. I think that is an online term for that. But for us, it's so simple that maybe no one will ask about it, and LLM does not have that vision and can ask us the really good questions, the questions that maybe the users will really struggle to understand, and so we can be prepared for that and already have some arguments to show, to explain, sometimes some illustrations to make more easy for the user team to understand. And also for analysis, what we use is give again all the documentation to LLM and ask, what is the reference or misconception that I lack? Because sometimes for us seems to be clear what we must do, seems to be clear what our software must do, and again we maybe are misconception, and LLM maybe will be a good fellowship for you, because will not be your friend, will really explain what you are missing. So I put a little notice here. So without ego trip, okay, you must seen that many LLMs lately has been updated to put complements and other things, and I noticed in many Reddit and forums that developers usually don't like that. At least my team and I, we don't like that very much. We really want the AI to be a good partnership, a interesting partnership, not someone to do ego trip for us, made ourselves more confident. We really want to use AI to see what maybe our software are missing, what maybe we didn't understand about the things that we must build or accomplish with that software solutions, and maybe other person cannot see what you are missing, and LLM sometimes will give you that information. So it's a very productive way to use, is asking what are misconception, what I lack of knowledge in this explanation of the software that I will build based on that documentation that I present you before. And of course, what are the questions that I didn't answer? Again, sometimes we lose track on things or don't pay the right attention to certain details. Is a very common thing. I mean, any of you that work with software must be in through it. For us, just a simple information, and when we really see about that information, we see that is a large concept that involve any other kind of business rules that we didn't think about it before. And if we are in analysis phases in the start of the project, it will be very simple for us to always to replay things, generate scope, and understand what our software we must do. But if we find out these things at the end of the project, near to the delivery of our software, then maybe we have a very complicated problem. So for the analysis phases in our software solution, this kind of questions, this kind of analysis work very well. And again, I think that the problems that we face are the same problems that many software teams has. And maybe for you, none of these are the problem. But again, maybe the problem will only show you when you are delivering the solution. And at that moment, everything will be more expensive to get right on track. Everything can be more time expending for you. So know all this stuff before. always get better in software. Okay, other things that we used to use LLM to do is scope writing, because again, all the things that I'm talking to you is on the beginning of the software implementation, is on the beginning of the task that you must code, and write a little scope of what you must do, what you must implement with that business logic, with that laws, with that rules that you must give into, will always help you. So like always, when you're dealing with AI, choose wisely what you will put inside the AI, what not. But after that, give the AI some information and ask for a little scope of a software solution, and see if the AI vision, the LLM vision of the software solution, the scope that the AI is writing, is the same that you have planned before, is the same scope that you think that it will be of the business logic that you must codify. Okay, so doing that cross vision maybe will show you missing points again, or things that you maybe didn't understand well, and also sometimes maybe something that LLM didn't get well, and you as a human have understanding much better. But for us it's always the best scenario when we know what must be done and the LLM know. So writing a little scope of the software solution before maybe will help you, maybe will save you some time to not get lost on track things, or in understand what you really must be doing with your software solution. And I also put it on my session name, planning, but again I will show you other ways to do the planning with LLMs, because many of the developers that I work with or I talk with didn't use this kind of planning things. There is use AI to estimate. If you do this 6 months from now, LLM will not give a good answer for you for estimating the time of or the consumption of certain software solution. But in later version of all LLMs, we had a very good estimation from many of them. So even Cloud, Gemini, or GPT can estimate very well, very good approximations of your software solution. So ask them for a little time estimation based on your scope, based on the documentation that you give, and you will have another pattern, another point of view of what you are thinking that your software solution must do, and must cost you. Okay, we in software always have struggle. I think it's not only a problem of my team to estimate things, to get ready in how much time we will expend in this task, how much time we will expend in this software solution, and having other visions, other kind of estimative maybe will help you to see if your planning, if your vision of the software solution are right on track, and you are not losing something during your understanding of what you must code. Okay, so also what we have deliver a great value is ask to find missing points. When you already has the plan of the software that you want to deliver, you go to LLM and ask, based on that documentation that I gave you before, this is my planning for the software solution, what I'm missing here. So maybe there is some aspects, some business rules, some understandings that your planning of the software solution are have a missing points, have points that you did not cover, and LLM will be good and clarify that for you. And remember that if you look up in what I show you here, is that we with AI in our database development solutions, if we get more used to use AI, it will force us to do a better planning and analysis of our project solution. So sometimes what you are missing during your code solutions is this phase. I don't know, of course, of your daily basis, but maybe what you are struggling to deliver more or to deliver a better result is give more attention to this phase, because we developers love to give time to the code phase of the project. We love to give time to explain and try new technologies and understand new technologies, and that is amazing, is our job. We love do technology things, but this boring part of the software solutions that usually are daily basis on our software engineers' lives, this boring part is very important. And what I trying to show you here, that you can use AI to make that part more simple, more easy to get through it, and save you some time clearing some errors that you can make in this phase of the project that will cost you a lot in the future of development. So given the time in this analysis planning phase with AI, maybe will be even a good routine that you develop that you never done before, because after what we have is only read the documentation and get ready to code, and after that see what we are missing when we deliver and have some bugs. And with AI and this more focus time on these areas, maybe will help you to deliver better software solutions, as was for us in our team. Okay, so find the missing points will be a good question. Explain the scope, explain the planning of the software that you want to elaborate based on that business rules that you present, and ask for missing points, missing conceptions, as I showed before, and AI will give you. Other thing that help us a lot is ask for samples. So give me a sample application that do this, because sometimes we all know the solution that we are trying to deliver is not new to the market, already has other applications, other software solutions in the market. So ask for samples. Maybe will help you to understand or to see things that you didn't plan or didn't see. And of course, LLM is not a magic solution, cannot see all the things. But what we have seen with this specific question here is that when LLM give a sample of the applications that we are asking for them, we see many requirements in these samples that we haven't seen in our planning before. So like the LLM show us some sample or some software sample application that has other features, other implementations that we are not planning in our sample base, in our initial planning of the project. And of course, we adapt track on that. And maybe will work for your software solution as well. So ask for samples, maybe it will help you to either understand better what you must code, and also how you can see other requirements that even LLM cannot see on the software solution that already are in the market, but you didn't know that they exist. And also in planning, for us, what have worked very well is ask for a validation of security of our software solution. We all know that security is a very important topic nowadays, and we must always be prepared for security, because if we fail on that, our customer or user can can have a lot of impact, can have a lot of losses. So ask for a security validation before your code, okay? I'm not asking on the source code, like, LLM here, I have some routine validate the security. It's not that thing that I'm talking about. Is the process when we give the scope of what software solution we are planning and ask LLM to validate what points maybe will lose security in that software solution that we are planning. Okay, so maybe LLM will find you some missing points, some points that you didn't thought before on specific on security issues. And we all know LLMs are very good at it. We have seen even O3 of ChatGPT finding bugs on Linux kernel basis. So imagine Linux are a open source with a lot of the very good developers of the world helping to build, and either so O3 will be able to find bugs inside the open source of Linux. So if it are able to find a security breach on the Linux, maybe we can find some security breach on your system as well. And again, I'm not talking about only of the source code, okay, but in some planning aspects that maybe you are losing track on security. And other things that help us a lot is be prepared for scale, and we can ask again LLMs for that. So I have this idea of software solution, these ideas of system that I want to build, and what I must do to be prepared to scale this solution. And we all know sometimes we are only focusing and make the things work and make the software solution work well, and we do not give the time, do not give the attention to this aspect of our software solution. But many software solutions start to running in many user and many scale process. So given the thought of this kind of aspect of your software solution, maybe will save you a lot of time. One thing that we have delivered advantage of this question is when we ask for some specific business process, and we ask LLM about what we must do to be prepared for scale in that routine, and we didn't consider before the price of the process routine, and LLM ask for it. And when we do the calculation of what will be the scale price of that routine with cloud basis and LLM uses, we see that it goes under the budget of the software solution. So without having to run the deployed solution, we could be prepared for a scale price in our development phase, because we asked LLM for it, and it gave us that vision before we delivered the software solution. And again, as developers, we have a lot of things to see, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to keep track on that, and maybe losing some requirements, losing something is very human. It's very common, and we can use LLMs and AI to help us to keep track on that, because LLM will never forget, will never lose something. It's just an algorithm, and in this kind of thinking, and we'll be able to do that for us. And other things is list possible bugs. Again, I'm not talking about source bugs in this process, but bugs inside the planning of our software solution. So bugs of requirements, maybe bugs of the process that we are trying to develop, maybe bugs on a business law that we didn't cover well or didn't give the time to think about it in the right way. So least possible bugs are a good a good question to ask. And near to the end of the session, I want to present you the notebook LM, and this is a very good tool, so I think I must save you time to show you. We use it a lot here in many software solutions, and it's free, so I cannot see that this is also a merchandising, because we already has a free version of Notebook LM, and also we have open source version of Notebook LM. But if you didn't see this tool, please save some time, try to learning it, because for us work very, very well. So in my experience working over 15 years with developers, every developer that I see until today has a large list of links. Here are the links of that topic, here are the links of that knowledge, here are the links, the web links of that kind of process that I want to learn or talk about, or that I use in the last projects. And what Notebook LM can do for us, it keep track on that kind of links and information. So how Notebook LMs work? How Notebook LM works? Notebook LM is a tool from Google. We have now a free version of it and also a paid version. And what you can do, you put all the sources. I will show you soon the user interface of it. You put all the sources. You can navigate from inside the sources that you put. You can save and share. Let me show it to you. So here we have Notebook LM. Here we put all the sources that we want. So of course the answer and the quality of the answer will be based on that sources. I will show you a sample after this slide that show you that. But all the links, all the information that you want to put, you can put documents, you can put PDFs, you can put websites, you can put YouTube videos, or even just put some text here. So you give all the sources to Notebook LM. Of course, you can save a single topic. So I put here like AI agents and 2025. And what Notebook LM will do for me, it's synthesize all the information that I give in the sources. I can even change the sources on the runtime, choosing what to use and what not. After that, I can generate a podcast for me to explain. I here using in Portuguese, but you can use in any language that you wanted. Even I use here some sources from different languages. So if you are working with maybe a system that integrates with a foreign law system, with a foreign business logic that you don't master, you can put either way the source and ask that for the answers inside your own language, and Notebook LLM will do for you. Okay. So also, again, you can generate podcasts of the information, you can summarize it, you can ask questions, and Notebook LM will answer your questions only based on the source that you provide to it. And other great things is use the mind maps. So you can generate a mind map and navigate through the information that the documents that you put are there, and you can even go to that specific part of the documentation that you gave to Notebook LM and see where that information is. And so it's very interesting, help us a lot. And other amazing tool that we have is Share. So you can put all the documents of certain software solution that you have, and you can share it with your team, and you can give rules to your team for who can change the documents, who can change the generated files, and who can only ask questions. So maybe you have a user that will participate, will elaborate with you the software solution. So you don't want the user change nothing inside your topic here, but you can give access to LLM so they can ask questions, and LLM, again, notebook LLM, will answer that questions only inside of the links and the sources that you gave. Again, the source must be a good sources, otherwise LLM can bad explaining what you are asking for. But all the answers, all the LLM text will be referenced, will be based on your sources here. So always you can see all the things that the notebook LM write can be referenced on the sources that you are giving to them. This tool was created by a journalist, so what the journalists do is usually this kind of logic: give some sources and ask questions only based on that information sources that a journalist has. And of course, for us software developers, maybe this will help you either with your projects, with your software solutions, and again with all the technologies, all the information that you want to understand better or using in the daily basis. You can put all the links that you have in certain topic here, and years from now, maybe come here and ask some question. Maybe you use some software solution on your application that for a month you don't need to have access, and when that shows up again, you can just come here to Notebook LM and ask the questions, and Notebook LM will help you with that. So it's a very good tool. Again, we have some open source and local version of it, but the Google version of it works very well, and is just a unique, a singular solution that help us a lot. And just to illustrate to you how the sources matter when you use Notebook LM, I have here a part of that knowledge that I presented you before, that was talking about AI agents in 2025, and some of the sources that I put there are referencing EMDB, the music, the movie-based online information. So of course this source will not align with what were I trying to understand and do with that knowledge base. Of course, I put that on purpose, only put some AI agents with other related topic, not about AI agents, the programming aspect of it, and this information Notebook LLM generates. So again, Notebook will be as good as you as the kind of source information that you provided to it. So I think that was the things that I want to share with you. So really thank you for your attention. Here are my contacts. You can email me at ivrai.com. And thank you again to Ian and Embarcadero for the opportunity. And I may be here to answer some questions.
Fantastic. What a great presentation. I really enjoyed that. That's a good one. And the good news is, and by the way, I made lots of notes, so he's going to regret that because I'm going to make sure I cover it. But with me live in the studio, or actually at his place, is Dion. Hello, Dion.
Hello, Ian. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I that was a really good presentation. I liked that, and actually,
Thank you.
by the number of people that scanned all the QR codes that I put up, because I put a lot up, I'm guessing a lot of other people liked it as well. So I'm going to put your QR code there. That goes directly to your site for those that don't know. If they scan it, it will go and do it. Where were we? This was the session. So this is Dion Mai, who is, now I'm not going to try and say your company name, is Ivra dash AI, yeah?
AI.com, yeah. Ivra,
Yeah,
Ivra
okay.
is a
Ivra.
word in Tupi language, originary people language in Brazil, to meaning tree.
Oh, okay, there you go. So tree AI, good. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so you know, you're a very active MVP. Talking of which, there's another one that's saying hi to everyone as well. Boyan's here, Mr.
Nice.
Superbrain, and Fabio Muller is also a very good guy as well. I see him. He says goof afternoon, but I think he means good afternoon. I don't think there's a. So we had some questions, but I wanted to call out a couple of points because it's always a good sign when I make notes. Okay. So what you brought up was some very good points, particularly at the beginning as well, which was about summarizing a conversation that you'd had with a customer or someone like that. But I thought the brilliant part was when you twist it on its head and said, "What did I miss? Was there anything that I should have talked about that I didn't?" And I actually
Yes.
liked that because that's something that is probably, it's a non-obvious thing, you know, to actually say, "Did I miss anything?" Because so many times you'd say to the AI, "Oh, you know, what was the summary?" And that's an obvious use, is to get it to summarize the conversation, particularly if it's with someone like me who talks a lot. You probably want to narrow it down to the actual subject. But the other one was, what questions did I miss? And that was a good idea. But the most important thing as well was where you said it gives you unbiased advice without the ego. And this is a very important, an underappreciated skill. There is the fact that, let's say you had a friend in the meeting with you, and it's an MVP or someone like me, and Dion said to them, "Hey, what did you think of the meeting? You know, did I do okay?" And the friend, you know, Brazilian or whoever, unless they're brutal, they're going to go, "Oh, it's great. You did a good job." You know, and you're like, "Oh, okay, good." Because I wasn't sure. I thought it went pretty weird, you know. But the good thing about the AI is the AI goes, "It was okay, but," you know. And I thought that was a very good point that you made there, that you brought up, that the AI is not trying to make you happy. It doesn't care. I mean, unless it's told, "Always be nice to me," which is a bad idea. But it doesn't mind if what it says is going to upset you. If it says, "I thought it went badly," or "You missed all these points and didn't make the key point in the meeting about your product," then the AI will tell you. Whereas your friend is probably going to try and say that, but they're probably going to be very careful because they don't want to offend you, lose your friendship or something like that. So I really like that. And also you said it takes out the boring bits as well. Like
Ian, I work as a development manager with 15 developers with many technologies. So it's very common, you know, the developer, when the meeting start and that all the boring things or aspects of the project, you lose track. They are all scrolling and not giving any attention. So record locally and summarize locally. No one will know, will not get out of your machine.
right.
And sometimes when you have to explain to others, uh, is at least for me occurs a lot. I think that I made my points clear, but when I speak to AI said, "No, it's wrong what we are saying." Not because what I say are wrong, but because I miss some information to give context. And for us developer, at least in my experience, is a very common thing with to do, because technology and for us is so common that we think that for everyone is, and in true is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point. One thing that Milan said was, "Do you have any concerns with sharing sensitive information with Notebook LM? It is, after all, Google, and they're not particularly known for being very protective of data. And I'm going to put a link up there as well. That goes directly to a Notebook LM site. Excuse me, and from Google. I assume if you're using it, you're not concerned about it. Is that right?
As I said, what I use for usually when I start a project and I have to learn to deal with some hardware and their online documentation for their hardware. Or maybe you already has the experience to use some software to edit
Mm.
images. And we start to look at online blog posts or YouTube videos. We summarize all that links and put on Notebook LLM, our public information. Of course, for your own projects, maybe you will use with some care. But remind me, if you are using a Gmail account and all the project information are in your
Yeah,
Gmail account, will not be
yeah,
the Google LLM the problem of
yeah.
the
And in
information.
fact, Idera use G Suite universally in the company for email, but I think there are some protections about privacy. I'm not sure, but we use it very heavily. We use all of Google's products, and I actually really like it. Some people don't like it. They're like, "Oh, I prefer Outlook." And no, actually, I mean, we do use Teams. That's our main comms platform. But I like G Suite. I think it's very convenient. I can sit there uh, on that laptop and do something. I can go to my Mac and do something. I can literally pick up one of my two phones and do it, and even have it on my watch as well. So I like that. But yeah, it is a concern that Google is consuming what you're doing. By the way, I think we answered this by accident, but one of the questions that came up was, do you speak to the AI in English or Portuguese? And I think when you showed Notebook LM, it was all in Portuguese, right? So presumably you use Portuguese, right?
Yeah, for mostly of the use, I use English because they always work better in English. It's common sense.
Language
Even
I
when
find.
I want that AI, even when I want even that AI write something
Right.
in Portuguese, I ask for it in English because you will always work better. But the great thing is now they work with many languages. So sometimes I see a good video in Spanish or a good source in French, and I don't have to care to translate it. I just put that as a source and ask in Portuguese or in English, and we will be able to
I'll tell you
answer.
something funny about voice recognition. Obviously, I'm British and I speak English, and I'm a voice actor. I've done voiceovers, so I can speak fairly clearly. And for the longest time, when I wanted to phone my daughter using Siri, I could not get it to understand me because it wanted to understand an American accent. And if we swap it to British English, it doesn't work as well. Not the recognition. The word recognition works fine, but the mapping and all the rest of it just doesn't work as well. And so I have to have it swapped to Siri American. So when I ask it something, it goes, "Hi there," and it's speaking. But I cannot get it to call my daughter. I have to say, "Call my daughter." I actually have to say it like an American for it to understand it, even though daughter is clearly I'm saying it the right word. So I sympathise with you there, but I've seen people struggle with voice recognition, but it's not because of you're Brazilian, so your English accent is Portuguese. No, no. I'm British and it doesn't understand me. So if it doesn't understand me, nobody's got any chance of it. It's
And Ian, let me just complain here because in Brazil we listen a lot of music, a lot of movies that are English, and when we try to speak, of course our pronunciation has some sort of, but all the Google Assistant, Alexa systems, they are not ready for many languages. Ian. It's so frustrating because you try to play me that song
it
and
doesn't get it. And
nothing
I think
happened.
that's the trouble as well, is that the LLMs have been trained on someone speaking very accurate English. you know. But even if you take the example of a kid in London, okay, if they come from, say, Brixton, I was born in southeast London, so my natural accent would be a very strong London accent, like a Cockney, and you know, like that kind of it. And the kids down there, they must really struggle because the Brixton accent now is a bit like an American gangster hood, you know. All right, you know, it just doesn't sound like British English. So God knows what happens for them when they use LLMs. And I'm glad I'm not in that area, you know, trying to make speech recognition work, because it must be an absolute nightmare with all the different accents around the world. Manoj asked this question that I think they meant nice presentation, but nice presentation. Did you use AI to help you create it?
I use because I used to summarize text and I used to get me sources of the information. But as I said in the previous presentation, I never used AI to generate the text that I would say. Because if you, at least in my opinion, if you work a lot with AI and you as a voice actor know Ian, understand this, is clearly to see when AI
Yeah,
write the text, it's get easily boring, always the same expressions, all the same terms in the same order. If you see a lot of AI text, we will see a lot of this
repeat.
stuff. So
Yeah,
for do the speaking, I never use AI. I only use AI to search, to validate the things, ask if this session clarify what I mean, to explain this kind of questions. Of course, I use
yeah.
AI a lot.
In my opening session on the very first day, I showed the results of me asking that Microsoft had put AI in PowerPoint. You know, the PowerPoint's like, and it's fairly new, but it is based on their Copilot large language model. And I thought, well, I'm going to do an AI code camp. Let's get it to do some slides for me. It was an absolute disaster. First of all, the slides were useless. The text was too small. The background was too high contrast, so you couldn't read the text. But not only that, as you pointed out, it did answer the questions, like, here's a good point about AI, here's another good point, but it was as boring as going to a doctor's surgery, and hearing them explain your symptoms. It had no life to it. Now, I'm sure if I had asked it with a good quality large language model and said, be expressive, be creative, be fun, those kind of prompts to actually, because like when you ask it to create an image, you have to be quite descriptive of the style of image. So I'm just going to show this overlay again, but this one, which is David I's one, which we all laugh at as long-term Delphi people, but I'm sure that in order to get from this to this, David I probably had to, give it quite a long prompt. And I think he actually emailed me and told me what it was. But again, you have to say, I want it to look like a Disney or someone else cartoon, or I forget the studio now, but it is that I want it to be cartoon-like. I want it to be happy, and I think it's the same with the text. I think if you use a large language model and be very long-winded and clear about exactly the style of text you want, then maybe it would be more expressive and it would be less boring. But it was an absolute disaster for the slides, and I was glad in a way, because it means I've still got a job for a while. Because eventually, I guarantee they'll
And
replace me. Someone one day will just go, let's use an AI, and I'll learn.
maybe for software too. But Ian, what other question I have? If you have to write a very long prompt, sometimes it is easily you for you to
Yeah,
write the
yeah,
text.
exactly. And I mean,
Right.
I think that as time progresses, what will happen is that software developers and people like myself, presenters and stuff like that, we and even my daughter, who's a graphic designer, we will become prompt engineers. So we will get very good at telling an AI what it is we need the program to do, the functionality we need in it, the areas we need it to pay a particular attention to, maybe some idea of the color scheme or something, those kind of things. I think that's where we will end up. I don't think we'll be completely replaced, because I think that human creativity, that initial spark, is still going to be something that is required. I'm a poet, and I write poetry, and I used to do a lot of it, performing, in the UK and quite a lot in the United States. And when large language models first came out, there were quite a few people that tried to create poems using these things. And I don't know what, they've probably got better now, but the very first ones, you could always spot it, because it always made the same mistake in the poems. I think it might have been deliberate initially, because it was just too weird that it always made these same mistakes. But it was like the fourth verse didn't rhyme properly, and I think they'd learned on these other models and got it wrong. But now I think we're probably in a lot more trouble, where I don't think we will spot these kind of errors. So Fabio Mueller is saying that it's Studio Ghibli is the style that David I has come up with. Okay. And yes, this is a good thing as well. There's a sketch on YouTube of a comedy video where these guys get into an elevator and it's got voice recognition. They're like, "Oh wow, it's got voice recognition." And the English guy goes in and goes, "Take me to floor 3, please." And the elevator goes up and takes them to floor 3, and it comes back down again. And two guys from Glasgow get in, and they're Scottish, and Glaswegians have got a very, very, very strong accent. My father came from near that area, and it's very difficult to understand. You would get no chance. So he gets in and he goes, "Floor 3," and the elevator just doesn't understand what he's saying. And it's the same with they had a Star Trek replicator, where you get on the starship and you say Earl Grey tea hot, but the Scots person goes on and asks for a haggis or something. The machine can't understand him, and that, of course, that's the problem. But yeah, elevator recognition, that's a very good example. Well, thanks for that session again, Dion. You did an excellent job. Thank you for the effort put in. You're here again tomorrow, is that right? With Diego. Yes, you're gonna. Is that right?
Yes, only to help Diego. And Ian, just a little word that I want to say. First of all, for everyone that go to my website, it is in Portuguese. Yes, but it's in Portuguese by now because we didn't launch the international version yet. We are fixing a major contract with Google, so we are able to scale more fastly. And after that, we will have an English version of the website. Another thing that I really want to say, Ian, is a great thank you of the bottom of my heart from someone who has grown developing Delphi and now see the strong of the community, all the major material and events that you are producing are really help you. And I think that everyone in the chat, please say thank you, Ian, because it's amazing job that you are doing. You say yesterday that I didn't sleep, but I didn't see you sleeping well, because if we pointed out from the beginning of the year until now, Ian, it's almost every day you are doing something. So really, thank you.
I appreciate it.
It's amazing to see Delphi back on the
Number
top of
9. Number 9
used
out of the
languages.
top 10. Yeah, I mean, thank you. First of all, they pay me. I don't do it for free, but I probably would do a lot for free, but not that much, because otherwise they'll stop paying me. But also, I want to emphasize, and I normally say this on the very last session on the last day, but I am the guy that comes and talks. Okay, that's what I'm good at, and that's why they hire me, because I'm a presenter, a professional presenter, and I'm a software developer, and I'm a Delphi fan from day one. From the very first day it came out, I'm like, that's the language for me. and I've always loved it. And now, of course, I'm happy and active because, hey, I get paid to work in the language I love. But I am only the public face of a very large team behind me. Producer Martha, she's not on the session today because she's got some very important exams to do today, and yet she's still managed to wrangle all these events. I turn up at this studio and she's got all the things sorted out, ready for us. You'll have had several emails from her as well. She works very, very hard, but she's only one of many people. There's people like April and Barbara and all sorts of people. Alex and just everybody, but they're just the marketing and social media and all those people. We couldn't do anything without the product development people. So Marco can too, all those people that actually produce the product. So I'm thank you for saying I'm helping out, but it's all of us. The quality of the product is improved immensely. Nowadays Red Studio is much better, and believe me, there's more coming. And it's going to get better and better. And I could have nothing to talk about if it wasn't for all the people that sit there coding away. There's 2 Brazilian guys, for example, that I know work on the development team, and they put in tons of hours. I don't know, they never sleep. They're crazy. I'm not allowed to say who they are, but they know who they are, and they'll probably watch this at some point. And I'll see them in Sao Paulo this year. But thank you. But just publicly, I want to acknowledge our team that do this, because I'm just one of the team. I'm just the public face of it. But thank you. But also, I wouldn't be anybody without all you lot and all the people saying thank you in the chat and all that. Thank you, so much. And thank you, dear, for making them say that. All right. Okay. Well, I've got to let you go because we're going to go on to someone else now. Softacom, who are also pretty active. But I'll see you again tomorrow with Diego. You're going to be his translator, aren't you? And moral support. That's what it is. Yeah. All right. Thanks a lot. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Okay, so that's nice of him to say that. But honestly, to all those in the chat that are saying nice things and Ian is fantastic, blah blah blah. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. And to all the people, I get emails all the time saying, "Oh, Ian, thank you so much." And all that. Look, I genuinely mean this. I do like what I do, and I am publicly the face of it. But believe me, behind the scenes, there is a whole bunch of people, particularly the product development people, but sales people, our resellers, our tech partners, everybody. It's a team effort. It takes an entire village, and in fact, it's effectively a city. And even Idera, who are the money men behind it and the money women behind it, there would be no Rad Studio, I think, without Idera's backup. Because they've done something that many companies fail to do, which is keep us going. And I know we want it to, we want Rad Studio to be on sale for $49.95, but the reality is that's not how you play software developers. So anyway, thank you, everybody. And meanwhile, let's move on to the next session. 10 minutes late, but that's good. It's not a long session. So this next session is, let me pull up the caption. And this is a thing that I'm going to learn from as well. Now, Elena and Softacom, they're based in Poland, and they've got some other people there. I know they've had a couple of people from Ukraine and a few other things as well. So they use in their presentation an AI voice. It is a good one, but they explained that they're very anxious about their accents, and they want it to be more simply understood, which I think is an excellent use of AI. If you're concerned that someone will not understand your accent, then AI fills the gaps. I get it. I mean, I'm lucky. I have a British accent, and most people understand it. But if you don't, then this is a good use of AI. But more importantly, they're going to talk about ONNX runtime in Delphi. I'll see you after this presentation.
Hello, everybody. We are Softacom, a company specializing in the modernization and migration of software written in old languages. In this video, we are going to demonstrate how to integrate ONNX runtime into Delphi projects to run object detection models such as YOLOV 8. We will compare different integration approaches, show working examples, and discuss the advantages and limitations of each method. We will be using these tools and technologies. ONNX is a file format for machine learning models. It allows models trained in one framework, like PyTorch, to be used in other environments. It's like a common language for AI models. An ONNX runtime is an engine for running machine learning models efficiently. It supports many types of models and works on different platforms. We use it because it runs models quickly. It works with models created in different frameworks, like PyTorch or TensorFlow. It's actively supported and used in production by many companies. And other tools that we are going to use are Python 4, Delphi, P4D, a library that lets Delphi run Python code directly inside the application. There are 3 common ways to integrate ONNX runtime into a Delphi application. Approach 1, calling an inference service via HTTP. The Delphi application sends HTTP post requests with image data to an external inference service. The service, implemented in Python, C++, or C#, loads the model in ONNX format, performs inference, and returns JSON responses with results. This decoupled architecture offloads computation from the UI and improves performance. What are the pros of this approach? It is the easiest way to integrate without embedding Python, and it is useful for quick proof of concepts. What are the cons? It might show slow performance because starting a new process for every image is expensive, and there is no direct access to inference results in memory. Also, it requires constant access to the internet. Approach 2. Direct ONNX runtime DLL call. In this approach, we connect to the ONNX runtime directly from Delphi using its C API. The Delphi app loads the ONNX model, prepares input data, runs inference, and processes the results, all through calls to the ONNX runtime DLL. Everything happens inside Delphi without Python. This is a more complex but powerful option. It gives full control over how the model runs and how the data is handled. What are the advantages? No need for Python. Everything runs natively. Better performance, since there's no process overhead. You control how data is prepared and post-processed. Everything runs on the client side. Your data stays private and there's no need for an internet connection. And disadvantages, more difficult to implement. You need to manage low-level details like memory, data types, and API calls. You must understand how ONNX runtime works internally. Harder to update or switch models if you need changes later. You don't need Python to use ONNX runtime. It's enough to download the appropriate DLL for your platform, Windows, Linux, or Mac OS, from the official ONNX website. This DLL provides a C API that can be connected to Delphi. The main challenge lies in data preparation. Before recognition, the image must be pre-processed and converted into a tensor. After the model processes it, the result also needs to be post-processed. Without third-party libraries, these steps can take a significant amount of time. Model interaction is done through function calls to the ONNX runtime. The library is actively being developed and currently includes around 292 functions. Let's have a quick look at how to use ONNX runtime.dll in your Delphi apps. First, you go to the official ONNX runtime website and download the ONNX runtime.dll file for your platform, whether that's Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. Next, in your Delphi project, you import a core function from that DLL. This function, called ortGetAPBase, basically gives you access to the entire ONNX runtime API. It looks something like this: Delphi function ortGetAPBase, port APBase, cdecl, external ONNX runtime, DLL. Once you have that, you call it to get the API interface, which is a struct with pointers to all the functions you'll use. It's like your toolbox for running ONNX models. Then you set up the runtime environment by calling create_env. This basically prepares everything so ONNX can work inside your app. After that, you create a session by calling create session, where you tell it which ONNX model to use. Before you can run the model, you need to get your input data ready, usually an image, and convert it into a tensor. You do that with create tensor with data as ORT value. Now comes the fun part. You run inference by calling run. This makes ONNX do its magic and give you results. Finally, you take those results, like class IDs, labels, confidence scores, and bounding boxes, from the output tensor. And don't forget to clean up when you're done. Release sessions, allocators, and the environment so you don't leak memory. So basically, by following these steps, you get smooth ONNX model inference right inside Delphi, all through the official C API. No Python involved. Approach 3. Using Delphi wrapper with Python for Delphi. Python for Delphi lets you embed a Python interpreter directly into your Delphi app. You can call Python functions as if they were native and use wrappers like the Codecamp YOLO module to simplify things. This approach is flexible and keeps the logic close to the UI, but still requires bundling Python. The pros of this approach are the following. Faster to integrate, no need to write low-level ONNX code, easier to use Python libraries like NumPy or OpenCV, keeps control in Delphi, good for real-world apps with existing logic. And cons, still depends on Python and its environment. Python, pip packages. Requires Python for Delphi and some scripting knowledge. Needs good error handling to avoid crashes at runtime. Environment setup. We've already prepared an environment. To do this, you should have Python ready. Download it from the official website. You see the link on the screen. Choose the 64-bit version for your system. Run the installer and enable Add Python to Path. Then you need to verify Python and PIP. First, open Command Prompt if you're on Windows, or Terminal if you're using Mac OS or Linux. Then check your Python version by running Python -- version. After that, upgrade pip by running Python-m pip install -- upgrade pip. And the final step is to install all the required packages. Install NumPy by running pip install numpy. Then install the CPU version of ONNX runtime with pip install ONNX runtime. If you want GPU support, there are a couple of options. For DirectML, run pip install ONNX runtime DirectML. For CUDA, use pip install ONNX runtime GPU. And finally, install OpenCV with pip install OpenCV Python. Now let us show our Delphi ONNX YOLO wrapper, what it consists of and how it works. In this video, we'll show how our wrapper works based on a test application, the FMX wrapper. We'll walk through its main components. It's very important to have the 64-bit platform set for compilation. It's essentially an FMX application. Technically, you can use VCL too. There's no difference. Just make sure the platform is set to 64-bit, like you see in the video. The setup consists of the test application itself and some resources. The resources are divided into two parts. Python integration and working with the Python code. The first part is Python integration, that is, the Python manager file. Then there's the Python code, which contains the main functions. So the Python code contains the main functions, and then there's the integration of the YOLO model library. This is followed by the main utility code, the types used, constants, and base classes. For example, the detect object, we can show it. It has fields like bounding box index, class, and level. The next object we use is results. This object contains the data we got, and we can use various events to display the results, or not use them. The core of the program is really just one function, predict. It can be called with different parameters, and we can get the status of the current process, its execution time, and all results are saved in detection wave. Now the example, the actual function call. When creating it, we assign events that will display our results. And here's the function call itself. You can call it without parameters, since everything is already filled in. Then we iterate over the results, which are numbered. This is basically how our app works. If needed, we can select an accelerator, locate the model. We already have it converted to ONX format. We load the image and can specify the output path where the processed image will be saved. That image will already have the detection results drawn on it. Then we start the actual recognition process. As you can see, it detected a cat and a dog. The output image already has bounding boxes drawn on it. We can add a filter, for example, to show only the cat. In this case, we have only the cat. We can also view model parameters, which is typical for YOLO. You can also generate full Python code. Copy and paste it, or save it as a Python script. It will be a fully functional program. we can see that the output images have been created. That's basically it. Now let's demonstrate how to use object detection functions in a real-world project. We'll show the example using a new VCL or FMX application. The framework doesn't matter in this case. Make sure to select the 64-bit platform since we're working in a 64-bit environment. Next, we'll create a simple interface for the demo. We'll add a panel and place the necessary UI elements on it. First, we add a button to select the model file. And a tedded field where the file path will be displayed. We'll add similar controls for loading an image. To make the code cleaner, we'll rename these components appropriately. Then we'll add dialog boxes. For the model file, we use a standard file dialog. And for images, token picture dialog. We define event handlers for the buttons. After a file is selected, its name appears in the corresponding tEdit field. The same logic applies to the image controls. Next, we add a tMemo component to display the results. We place it on the form and clear its lines. Now let's add a button to trigger the object detection process. We'll name it Inference and assign an event handler. To use the ONN and XRTD wrapper singleton, we need to include the ONNXRT.core module. The inference is performed using the ONRT wrapper.predict method. It can be called without parameters, if they're already defined, or with parameters. In our case, we'll specify both the model file path and the image path. Once the inference is complete, we access the results from ONNX RT wrapper detection results. We extract each result and output it to the T-memo. First, we display the class index. Then the class label. After that, the confidence score and finally the bounding box coordinates. We format the coordinates as comma-separated values, left, top, then right, bottom. At this point, the app is ready to run. We compile it, load the pre-trained model, and choose an image. Click Inference, and we get the results. We see that a cat and a dog were detected in the image. Now let's improve the visual part of the app. We add a T-image component to display the image with proper scaling and aspect ratio. We update the code so that the loaded image appears in T-image. After inference, we can also get an output image with detected objects drawn on it. We define the name of the temporary output file in the constant section, pass it as the third parameter to the inference function, and display it in T-image once processing is complete. Let's run the app again. Select the model, load the image, switch to full screen, and start the detection. Now the recognition process is fully visual. And again, we see the same cat and dog. You can explore other features of Onyx RT Wrapper using the demo app included with the library. Integrating ONX runtime into Delphi applications opens the door to using modern AI models directly in native Windows apps. The choice of approach depends on the project requirements. For quick prototyping, communicating with an inference service over HTTP is often the simplest and most efficient solution. For maximum performance and no external dependencies, direct ONX runtime API calls are best. For rapid integration with flexibility, using Python 4, Delphi, and wrappers like the Codecamp YOLO module offers a good balance. That was all from us. Thank you for your attention.
What a great presentation! I actually really enjoyed that, and a few people said the same thing as well. Where was it? Yeah, Milan. He did point out, by the way, at the end of it, that he meant bravo, not brave. It was brave, but so Softacom, as I said, they're based in Poland, and a good proportion of their people don't speak English, and some of the ones that do speak English speak it with an accent. So they were very concerned about being understood, and so that's why they use the AI voice. But you know what? I agree with Milan. It actually really worked. It worked very well, and I think the way they paused and they showed the code, that was great. I mean, it was weird to hear people say Delphi again because you've all got used to me saying Delphi the old way, the European way of saying it. And Marco says Delphi as well because he's from Italy. But what a great, top marks there, Softacom. And Serge is the boss there. But where's the QR code? But these are the guys that did that video. Softacom, great company. They're technical partners. They do conversions and they Delphi programs for hire and all the rest of it. Good bunch of people, very reliable. I'm big fans of them. They use the ONNX runtime, which, as you saw, you can call and does a lot of stuff locally, which is a very useful way of doing things. And as Fabio says, it was a really good pace. Yeah, it was perfect. When I first heard them say, "Oh, is it okay if we used like AI generated voice?" I thought, okay, it might be one of those videos where they talk, but no, it was absolutely, it was one of the best videos I've seen for a while. And you can't hear me clapping because of the noise cancellation, but good job, Softacom, on that. I really liked that. That was a great video. They also talked about Python for Delphi. If you scan that, you'll go to Python for Delphi. It's a free download, and you can embed Python code in your Delphi apps. But there are also there's a Delphi FMX and Delphi VCL, which are Python libraries that allow you to create FMX and VCL apps for GUI apps for Python. So you can have a Python app that's using FMX and VCL. So it's quite a whole rounded solution. And the other thing, of course, is Rad Studio, which is the main core product that we use. But I thought it was great. I think it was a good job. Callum says, nice. The model I am producing is currently in Python, and soon I'll be looking to integrate it into our Delphi program. Today is very useful. Yeah, well, I can safely say, if you go there, I think I've got this pointed to a thing like getting started with Python for Delphi on our blog site, but it does have the links. They're free downloads, and they're open source, I think. We also sponsor PyScripter, which is a really good Python IDE as well, and Kyriakos works on that. But Python and us, we're kind of like this. They fulfill different purposes. Python scripting, very powerful in AI, very popular in AI, and the Delphi then adds that kind of security wrapper and power and convenience as well. So great stuff, and integrate it into your Delphi program. You can do that today. Python for Delphi has been around for several years now, at least 3 that I can think of, maybe longer. So it's there and you can do it. But if you want a Python app and you want some AI and you find it easier to do Python, then that's the place to go to. That blog post will point you to all the resources and tell you how to get started as well. So good job. And like I say, once again, thank you to Softacom for that presentation, and also thank you for them introducing us to ONNX runtime. It's been a heck of a day for us, yeah, and I think it has been a good day. So that's it for today's presentations. I said it would be a bit shorter today. Tomorrow we've got some more Python content. Tomorrow we start off with a session from Miguel Angel Moreno from Mexico, or Mexico, depending on how you want to say it. Miguel is a great guy. I get on very well with him. And his session, the opening session, is porting a Python REST client app to Delphi using AI. So he's going to take a Python app and then use AI to convert it to Delphi. So those of you that are looking at Python and you got Python, and you said Callum, you said you were going to do some stuff with integrating Python. Well, Miguel's session tomorrow is one not to miss, because he's actually going to show you how to convert it to Delphi as well, which I'm interested in doing as well, because there's lots of opportunity there. The next session after that is Developing in the AI Era, Tips and Tricks. That's by Diego Anani. And it goes beyond writing code, but just all of those things where you can use AI to augment yourself. One of these 10x programmer people, which is a term I find faintly ridiculous. But anyway, it's the idea is it's to make you have that kind of Iron Man outfit in the form of a AI assistant. And Dion, who you saw earlier on, will actually be translating for Diego as well, because Diego's a bit shy about speaking English. I don't blame him, because I can't speak any Portuguese, so unfortunately they're forced to speak English to me. And then the final session is a very interesting session. It's a new one that we added, and you may not have heard of it yet, but we will be promoting it, and I will be having a Stack Overflow. We're all familiar with Stack Overflow, the #1 question site on the internet, question Q&A site. We're going to have a Stack Overflow moderator with us. Her name is Dahlia, and she will be talking to me about is AI the answer or a solution looking for a problem? And she's going to discuss how AI has impacted sites like Stack Overflow positively and negatively, and also fighting combating the use of people answering questions with the AI and getting it completely wrong. Stack Overflow's kind of oeuvre or reason for existence is to give good quality answers to questions that people ask. Coding questions are really the kind of crux of it. And the problem is that back in the day when it was all humans, they could go in and say, no, that answer is just useless. And so the moderator would go, that's completely wrong, click and downvote it. Or if it was spam where someone's going, yeah, you could use my product for this, and then pointing you towards their site in a spammy kind of way, which is not the answer you're looking for. Well, Stack Overflow was very good at slapping that down and making sure that the answers you got were good quality answers from people who knew what they were talking about. And I personally used to use Stack Overflow. In fact, I still use it quite a lot to get it. But of course, since AI's turned up, there's some very plausible answers which take a lot more time to look at and go, this is hopeless. And Dahlia is going to talk about that and how that's affected Stack Overflow, and actually, unfortunately, is impacting their existence in general, because people go, well, I won't ask Stack Overflow, I'll ask AI. She's got some very good perspective on the good and bad of those approaches. She's not anti-AI, but like me, she's kind of a optimistic skeptic, shall we say, that she doesn't think that you should blindly believe that AI is the answer to every question you've got. And I think I completely agree with on that. So that's our final session tomorrow. Starts at noon US Central Time. So we're not done. We've got another 2 days, and it's packed full of content, and lots more coming in. But thanks for joining us, and thank you, Alex, for your comment there. Where's my cursor on that is where Alex said it was very interesting, useful presentation. Yeah, that was from Softicom you're talking about. Good job, Softicom. Yeah, I thought it was great. I've really enjoyed the 3 days we've had so far. Fabio says it we're very interested to hear from Stack Overflow. I should point out it's not Stack Overflow themselves, it is one of the moderators from Stack Overflow. And Dahlia will make it very clear who she's talking on behalf of, and that's of herself. But she is a genuine Stack Overflow moderator, and she doesn't pull any punches. I know her well. She's a good friend of mine, and she will make it quite clear what her point of view is. But yeah, I don't think she'll come and explain about where their position is. A&T says, thank you, you're welcome. And Fabio says, thanks, Ian. I don't do anything. I just sit here and talk. and press buttons, and everybody else does the hard work, apart from my session on Monday, which was brilliant, I have to say. I'm just kidding. But yeah, thank you all. So that's it for today. I will see you again at the same time tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. US Central, 3 p.m. UTC, or whatever your time is in there. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't done it yet, you probably should click on like and subscribe, or go to this link, scan this link, and you can register there. Please do, because it helps us know who's interested in what topics. But if you are watching on YouTube and you don't want to go that direction, then click on like and subscribe. I don't care about the likes. Nobody gives me any more money for getting more likes or subscribers. But the benefit of subscribing on YouTube or LinkedIn or Instagram or wherever you're watching us, because we go to 11 different sources, is that we won't know who you are, but what we will know is that you're interested in what we're doing. And more importantly, beyond all of that, when I go live again, if you missed the announcement or you missed the email or whatever, you'll get a ping from YouTube without us ever knowing, saying, hey, Embarcadero have gone live, and you'll get a notification, so you won't miss anything. So like and subscribe. I know I sound like an influencer. I really am not. But like and subscribe is the way to do it, and then you'll find out. And everybody say nice things. Thank you, everybody, particularly Boyan, who good session, got a lot, especially Softcom video. So did I. I thought it was a good quality stuff. I was nervous, but when it turned up, it was great. Boyan, thank you, Boyan, who also did some excellent sessions. There's a whole lot of effort put in. Andrew says cheers. Cheers to you, my friend, as well. And B3 Site Guy says, thanks for hosting. It's fun. And Terry says, thanks for finding the right stuff. Actually, I put out emails and they come to me. So I don't even have to work hard to do that nowadays. Everybody knows who I am. So it makes life a lot easier. But thank you, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow.